Hi, I'm the grumpy old outhouse guy, and I'm here to give you a couple of hints on outhouse building. You figure I must know a few things about outhouses, because basically I've been building them, restoring them, and just plain fixing them since last century. I've come to learn a lot in that time, and I want to give you a couple of hints as to how you can make your house building even better. But what makes your life better is a little bit of Moxie, though. It's for superb women and manly men, the ones that can talk, of course. Now, whenever I go look at a new job for a restoration or a repair, most of the time when I get out there, the outhouses always have a tendency to lean back. And there's a reason for that. As you get older, well, you just get plain old tired. And also, as you get older, many of your parts are repaired and replaced. And that's pretty much what happens with outhouses. And you figure the reason the outhouse leans backwards is by the very virtue of the way people sit down on it. Most of the time, your framing on the side looks something like this. And over time, it doesn't take that much longer, 10, 20 years or so, this gets weak. And it tends to pull the entire back of the structure back, and eventually, over time, it'll collapse backwards. Pretty common. And when it collapses backwards, incidentally, it actually pulls the front door out a little, and little critters get in there and they start chewing away at it, and that door has to be replaced. Another item that goes, of course, is your roof. And oftentimes what they'll do with the roof is they'll take what's left over the door and stick that on the roof and use that for the underlayment. Just common sense. You take the good stuff and reuse it. And the reason I say that is there's been a lot of talk lately that some folks say that outhouses never had the crescent moon on it because, well, people say they just haven't seen them on there. Well, it's true enough. But like I said, like with my body, it's been repaired several times, and it's not the same as it used to be. And if you have a door that went, it of course is going to be replaced with the technology of the time. So a lot of times you'll find that little crescent up on the roofing. Keep that in mind if you ever tear one apart. You may find graffiti, or you may find all sorts of interesting things that were used there. But as I was saying earlier, as far as the seat goes, it has a tendency of being pushed back from people sitting down on it through the years. So my suggestion to you, and this is what I do in all my outhouses, is rather than make a little square like that, I add just a 45-degree block. What that does is, instead of pushing the weight straight back to the back wall, it actually pushes the weight down to the ground, so you're less apt to lean back. And if you look at this one that I'm building here, you'll see what I mean. Whether I restore, build new, I always make sure that's on there. Yeah, on a restoration, it'll ensure that older structure lasts a whole lot longer. And besides, nobody really sees it. Another thing you should probably do in regards to the seats is venting is very important to the outhouse. What happens below stinks, so what stinks can explode. And also can make things terribly nasty for you. That's why we have the vent pipe. But what good is the vent pipe if you have leaks in other parts of the structure? And a common thing that people do when they build outhouses these days is they'll buy just a toilet seat, like from Home Depot, Lowe's, or the hardware store. And they actually just plop that right out. It seems like a fast, simple answer to the problem. But if you actually look at the seat, you'll notice that there are a lot of gaps in here. You know, you'll have little spacers here that lets air through, and you have spacers underneath. So you're really not getting that tight a fit. And those dimethyl chlorides or methane, whatever, do have a way to seep out into the chamber of the outhouse. And that would contribute to making it, well, a little uncomfortable for you when you're in there with the odors and such. So what I do is set it up like this. Bear with me for a second. See, the simple cure for this is you pull the old cover off, you take off the spacers, and you plop that right down over the hole. Put a little caulking underneath, and you have an airtight seal. Now to make sure that, to add to that, rather than put this unit, which doesn't fit very well, over it at that point, all you do is make a little box, a little gasket on it, and there you go. Problem solved. You're not going to get any poisonous gases in the structure to make it smell nasty. And what more can I say? Those are my 2 tips for today for building outhouses. For some reason, you go on the internet, people have all sorts of ideas and all sorts of talks on how to do these things. But most of these folks have never even built an outhouse in their life. People come to me because I know what I'm doing. If you're down south, you may want to visit Gerald Young down in Pulaski, Tennessee. He makes a great outhouse too, but he's not as into the historical aspect that I am, but that doesn't matter if all you want is an outhouse. So until next time, take care.